What is going on, everybody? I go by Philly Mike, and we are back with another episode of Goat Talk, the podcast. Sorry we weren't able to break down film the last couple times. We're going through some technical difficulties there. We will figure it out. But that don't mean Goat Talk gotta stop. How you doing, LB? Fresh off the bye week.
I'm chilling, man. I'm ready for some football, man. We've been off this bye week way too long. A lot of rumors about, us potentially landing some great players that can help us down the stretch of this long football season. I can't wait. We got the Steelers coming up. You know what I mean? That should be an exciting game this Sunday. You know what I mean? How you feeling, man? Coming off of this bye week, I should say.
I feel good. A couple things we got to watch. The NFC East came up. Even the Commanders somehow found a way to beat Green Bay and Aaron Rodgers. They're just in a bad way right now. So the NFC East won, but the Saints lost, and that's what we got to pay attention to for the future of this team. I don't like to get too far ahead, but that fourth pick is looking really good. But as an Eagle fan, one whole week off, watch the Steelers play a little bit. They're not going to be no slouch. It's a Mike Tomlin-led team. I think they're tough in certain positions. I think they're questionable at quarterback, right? It was Trubisky to start the season. Then it was the newcomer. What's his name? Pickett. And then Pickett goes down. I don't know if he goes down or got benched, but Trubisky comes in and does some things. How do you feel overall about the Steelers team?
I feel like it's a team you can't sleep on, man, for sure. This is how I feel. I feel like you can't sleep on nobody once you're like 6-0, 7-0, 8-0. Everybody is trying to give you that first loss. Everybody is going to play the best to their ability, meaning they're going to give you 110% with the current roster that they got. And the Steelers got some players over there, man. We definitely got to be – listen, I'm not scared of the Steelers. I'm mindful of Mike Tomlin. You know what I mean? He has a knack for getting those dudes up and ready to play, and we got to be on our A game moving forward every game of the season because we haven't been beaten, and somebody's itching to be the first team to beat us. In a nutshell, on the offensive side of the ball, I think we just got to continue to do what we got to do. You know what I mean? Take what the defense gives us, and on the defensive side of the ball, continue what we've been doing. Be aggressive to these quarterbacks who probably can't withstand the pressure. Didn't Pickett throw 3 picks in his last game?
I'm not exactly sure. I know he was struggling. I know they haven't got great quarterback play from either one of their guys. And so to me, it's like whoever plays is whoever plays.
Yeah, I agree. But, what I did see that kind of alarmed me from the Steelers defense is that how their defense was able to kind of keep at bay Tyreek Hill and those guys. It was a 10-16 game. I think the Miami Dolphins only scored 3 points in that second half, and we have been, talked about as a team that struggles in the second half. So we got to come out and really try to, blow the doors off these guys immediately, man. We need one of our 24-point halves. You know what I mean? Let's get this thing wrapped up by the half. We don't want to be in a dogfight with a scrappy team like this, especially coming off a bye.
Yeah, man. The bye week alone could really mess up your feng shui, all the things you've been doing, like just being locked in the way Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, this offense and defense was at times. So we got to figure that out. And like you said, going into a season, right, the team that won the Super Bowl, in this case, it's the Rams, right? Every team that plays them, they're going to be talking prior to the game. This is the Super Bowl team. Let's give them our all. That's not to say that every team don't try their hardest every game, but this is a game about momentum. It's about a story. Things transpires before the game, after the game, during the game that can pump up the energy level. And when you are the only undefeated team, there's talk all week that we want to be the one to knock them out. I agree 100% about that. It's a target on our back, but I'm gonna wear that target proudly and not back down from it. We just got to do exactly what we want to do. How do you feel about Najee Harris, right? Because that's one weak part so far, up and down. I wouldn't say weak. We've been up and down. We shut down Dalvin Cook, but Swift and the boys got off on us. And now the Dallas Cowboys opted to run the ball even when they were down 17, and they kind of got back into the game with the run game, the play action. How do you feel about Najee Harris coming to Philly?
You said it, man. You hit the nail right on the head. We got to make these guys a one-dimensional football team because run defense has kind of been our Achilles heel somewhat in this season. Now, it hasn't cost us any games, obviously, but it has been how teams have been able to stay afloat. They're scared of the secondary. A lot of guys don't even want to throw near Darius Slay. James Bradbury is getting that reputation back as well. Garner Johnson is somebody that you can't sneeze at. The linebackers are great in coverage. It's just collectively as a unit, we seem to allow some holes in the run game. It's a lot of gaps, and a lot of guys get off on us. Najee Harris, arguably, you could say is probably the best running back we would face this year. So it is a guy that so far, so it is arguably, you did have Dalvin Cook, but we took him out of the game plan. Najee Harris is fully capable of destroying us on the ground. That's that's the basis of that, man. We got to do a good job of tackling, man. These guys broke a lot of tackles against Miami. Stopping and run would definitely be a strong key to victory, man, because you want the ball in Pickett's hand as much as possible. You want him to make these decisions and these mistakes. Najee Harris was ready to go since day one in the National Football League. So you got to shut that guy down, in my opinion. I ain't scared, but you got to shut him down.
Oh, no, I agree. And part of the reason why we were successful against the Minnesota Vikings is because the Eagles defense came out ready for the run early. Mm-hmm. We shut it down. We had such a big lead like we had on the Cowboys and the Lions. The thing is, the Vikings really can do two things at a high rate: run and throw the ball. So they fell into our trap. That is what has been a key to the success of the Eagles defense. When the offense has you down, when we get that major scoring outage in the second quarter, the teams that decide to throw on us in the tail end, they don't fare well. It was the Lions and the Cowboys that slowly crept back into the game because they stuck to the run game. And that's where like we talked about, if you look at the numbers, it will lie a little bit in the sense that we, prior to the Cowboys game, don't know where we are now in the bye week, so other teams change. We were top 10. We were number 10 at yards allowed on us. But that's a little skewed in the sense that we were the least ran on team. So when you see 10th in yards, but we're the least ran on team, that is what equates to a 5 yards per carry. And so we definitely got to clean that up. And that just starts by letting Jordan Davis play a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that, man. Jordan Davis could definitely be a catalyst for slowing down some of these runs. And, this is what Jordan Davis brings to the table. Jordan Davis kind of forces a lot of guys to bounce it to the outside. Our advantage, with Kaiser White, with TJ Edwards, we can make a lot of different stuff shake if you got Jordan Davis in there. Listen, running up the middle is just not going to work with Jordan Davis or Cox or Hargrave, whatever that combination is going to be. Jordan Davis is a centerpiece to dictating how teams will have to run the ball against you. You've seen Ezekiel Elliott found a lot of success with Fletcher Cox being the guy in the middle. Ezekiel Elliott found ways to, maneuver around Fletch. He's been doing it for years. Jordan Davis poses a different threat. He's not going to give up on the play once you get past him. He's going to be coming from behind, pause. You know what I mean? He's going to be trying to get you down to the ground. So you got to be mindful of a guy like that with that type of athleticism from a defensive tackle position. I want to see some design blitzes to stop the run, though. I'm not really worried about Kenny Pickett as a passer right now at this stage in his career. I want to see us really getting after these guys in the backfield, period, whether it be the running back or the quarterback. Let's end this game early. Let's not fall into a trap of having a dog fight with some dogs. There's some dogs over there, man. They scrappy. They hungry for a win. You know what I mean? I was impressed by how they handled, Miami, even though they lost. But, we can't come out flat against this team. We got to put these guys away immediately. Are you worried about anything on the offensive side of the ball from us, though?
I mean, that boy Pickens is a dog. He's a dog.
But he is.
On the opposite side, too, though. So, I mean, going into a game, I'm not normally worried. I mean, if Jefferson was able to be slowed down, then even though Pickens is a dog, I'm not worried. But I do believe he's been stepping up big time for the Steelers when it comes to their passing game. And I agree. Send the house. Make Pickett see things that he's never seen in the NFL in his early career. I was kind of worried at first that Trubisky, was going to get more run because Trubisky came in and finished the Tampa Bay Buccaneers off 2 weeks ago. So, the last 2 weeks, say what you want about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but Tom Brady still controls that team. And anytime you could beat him, it's a feather in your cap. So the Steelers, again, played a tough, close game against a top offense in the league, holding them to under 20. And so this is a really gritty team. Now, we've been winning a lot of gritty games, and I think it goes overlooked that the offense does have that one final drive to put people away. The Lions game, the Cowboys game, Arizona game. Arizona game, yeah. And so for a team that struggles in the third quarter, we don't get it popping in the fourth quarter, but we do get that one grown man drive, whether it's the run, whether it's Jalen running, whether it's him throwing. We've been able to establish that. And that is the difference between the great teams and the okay, good teams. Being able to finish. And we've seen, Eagle teams that were talented that stay in the game for three quarters that couldn't finish. So as much as I want to fix the third quarter problems, being able to finish in the fourth quarter is something that a lot of teams don't do often.
Exactly. And we got to give credit to the offensive line. The offensive line somehow always wakes up when we desperately need something at the end of a game, whether it's just like you said, whether it's running the ball or whether them giving Jalen Hurts enough time to find, the open wide receiver. Some snaps in this team. I think it's a maturity thing. You know what I mean? And, I'm happy that we got the kind of quarterback that we have because Jalen Hurts isn't going to allow any type of moment at all to kind of rattle him. You know what I mean? I think the bye week helps players like Jalen Hurts. It helps, seasoned offensive lines like us. Lane Johnson should be healthy. He left the Cowboys game with a concussion. He should hopefully pass protocols this week and be out there good to go. But it wouldn't surprise me that if somebody was a little nicked up that they held him out of this game because, ultimately the staff probably thinks this is a game we should win. But everyone is important right now, man. The NFC East is so tight that you got to come out there with your troops at 100% at all times, man. The one thing that really worries me going down the stretch, though, including in this Pittsburgh game, is just the punt return situation with special teams. I'm thinking that Greg Ward was brought back because we have that problem. Maybe they're trying to see what kind of spark they can get out of Greg Ward. Now, Greg will get you 25-yard returns. You know what I mean? I just that's the only point of concern that I would have moving forward, especially in this game as well. I think field position will be key in this game for us.
Yeah. He hasn't passed the practice squad yet. So we'll see where Greg Ward comes. To me, I was thinking it's like, listen, Greg Ward has been loyal to us. My man needs a little 150K. Come on a practice squad just for GP in case anything crazy happens. But here, take this 100K real quick and be on our practice squad locked up a little bit. I don't know where he finds a role. And as you said, special teams might come out because of how stacked we are at the wide receiver position, but he's never been a guy to be like, oh yeah, Greg Ward's back there. Let's go.
Right.
To get him out there too. But before we keep going to the Steelers game, it's been real juicy in the whole will Howie Roseman be aggressive? We heard reports that we were interested in Christian McCaffrey, not enough to go crazy like the Niners did, but interested enough to be like, hey, what you really looking for? I mean, not trying to take a third or a fourth, blah, 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 blah. 2-3 weeks ago, it's been all over reported that we are interested in a pass rusher. Do you think something gets done? The names floating around.
Mm-hmm.
Does Howie Roseman pull the trigger before the trade deadline or on the trade deadline with the acquisition to help this team?
You know what, man? It's tough to say, man, but this is Howie Roseman we talking about. Being as though that he even picked up the phone for Christian McCaffrey with us sitting at 6-0 lets me know that something is going to happen. You know what I mean? When you bring in a guy like Christian McCaffrey, in my opinion, I don't think we give up as much as the 49ers did because, unfortunately, Miles Sanders probably would have been bait for that situation. You know what I mean? It just only makes sense. He's looking for a contract extension here shortly, and Christian McCaffrey's already locked up. I guess we would assume, having to pay for that. But with that being said, man, there's a lot of possibilities out there for Howie Roseman. The fan base is screaming for another pass rusher. I'm on board with that. You hear a lot about Chubb. You hear a lot about Brian Burns. Listen, nobody's safe. You know what I mean? Nobody's safe on this team. If you ain't under no contract and you're not a quarterback, I don't think you're safe right now. I think somebody could be used as bait, and I don't even think that Saints pick is safe. Like, I think Howie Roseman want to win now, and that Saints pick is looking real juicy as a bargaining chip to getting somebody that's already proven. Would you give up the Saints pick for Brian Burns?
No.
I would. Why not? I give it up in a heartbeat.
No.
I give it up. Who's to say that fourth pick is going to be that productive?
I mean, no, I'm not. Here's the reason why. Now, look, it could come back and bite us, right? That the Saints could somehow start winning and it goes up, right? But let me just say this. As we sit right now, with the quarterbacks coming out next year, the hype on at least 5 of them quarterbacks, there's a team that will come up from 9, from 11, from 12. And you're like, Well, if they're going from 9-4 or 12-4, they can't give up that much. No, they will have to. They
Yeah.
will have to. So you're talking about the fourth overall pick that could turn into, if we want to even leverage for more future picks, like we could be having 2 first round picks next year and pick top 10 with that fourth overall pick. Like that's one you need to keep in your pocket, especially if you are flipping stuff as good as Howie Roseman. My thing is this: Brian Burns is a great player. His ability against the run, he averaged about 9 sacks per year. But look, you get a top 5 pick. You think Aiden Hutchinson's going to be averaging 9 sacks per year? I think he's going to be one of them ones. And I think because of the quarterback draft, there's 2 guys on the line next year, one being Will Anderson, that could potentially be there for the Eagles because of the Bryce Youngs, because of the Caleb dude, and a couple more quarterbacks. So to me, I'm not giving up that Saints pick. Now, again, they start winning. It goes in number 9. It's not as juicy, but I can't do it. And you heard they were asking for 2 first rounds, though, right?
For Brian Burns, that's cap.
Yeah.
That's cap. That's cap. That's cap. They're not asking for they got to be kid. Listen, they'll take anything. They'll take a first and a fourth. They'll take a first and a fourth for Brian Burns. Look
They
at
can
the
have the
Hall.
Eagles pick, the Eagles first round. I'm willing to part with that
Yeah, because that's
right
already
now.
looking like a sub 25 pick. You know what I mean?
Jeez.
I'll give him that as well. But I mean, for Brian Burns, proven. Listen, Will Anderson is not guaranteed to be as good as Brian Burns. That's how I look at these things.
But you got to pay Brian Burns too. You got to pay Brian Burns after this year. So now you go into the offseason with all the 1-year contracts we got to figure out, plus Brian Burns you got to pay. And because you gave up first round capital, you're more invested in him than CJ Gardner-Johnson, Bradbury, all these guys. You can't can't give up a first round pick and then let him walk in 1 year. So you got to pay him market value defensive end money. That is 12 plus mil a year.
And you know what? And a lot of people like to hone in on Brian Burns. I think Chubb will be just as effective in this offense. Listen, in this defense, this is the thing. It's going to be a rotational front regardless because Sweat is paid. Sweat still is productive. He needs to get his sacks. He needs to get his reps. Hassan Reddick is another guy that's paid. He's going to get his reps. He's still productive. You know what I mean? And then you still mixing in other guys like Brandon Graham that's coming off the edge as well, who are also paid and semi-productive as well. So I think Chubb just fits better because you're going to part ways with a couple guys off the defensive line next year. Chubb keeps you a little younger, and Chubb's still hungry, man. He's still out here want to play for a team that's winning. So if you're going for edge rusher, I'm thinking more Chubb's is the move that Howie Roseman makes. And offensive guy, I'm really, really looking at Kareem Hunt. That's a really, really enticing move for us, man. That's them. Chubb and Kareem Hunt make you a championship team. Like, I feel like we already are, but if you get Chubb and Kareem Hunt, you on a different level right now. You know what I mean? You talk about a really, really stout Eagles defensive team. So, yeah, man, in a nutshell, something got to happen, man. This is Howie Roseman. I would be disappointed if nothing happened.
Yeah, and Howie Roseman don't if Howie Roseman really is trying to build for the future, right, which he's done with the draft capital he's accumulated, he doesn't go this hard with the 1-year deals and certain other deals this offseason. He is definitely trying to get the best of both worlds. He secured some of the future. We got some young talent already locked up for a long term. He still also wants to win right now. It's already been evident. But before we get to the super chat, I do want to ask you this. Or let me get to the super chat first, and I got to ask you if there a big question. Jose Serrano with the $5 banger. He said, "Don't think for one moment Hurts is not taking names on the down low. He's still getting disrespected by the media. I know that is fueling him."
Thanks. I agree.
I agree 100%. That is who he is, and he loves to prove him wrong. Now, look, you just crushed it that if we get both a Hunt and Chubb combination, which you could really leverage like your 4th, 5th, 6th round picks, and maybe a 2024 earlier one if you need to do that for them type of players. One, because the Broncos are so booty juice, plus
Right.
Russ just got hurt. Like, there's no reason for them to keep Chubb, who has 5.5 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. The reason why, because he's going to walk next year. With the money they're going to be paying Russ next year, where the contract really kicks in, plus they got young players like Judy and Surtain, and they're not worrying about Chubb. Chubb's leaving them, so go ahead and get what you get. one of the reasons why we were able to finagle CJ Garner-Johnson for a fifth and a sixth, it sounds like robbery. It is robbery homicide, is because we had leverage because he was going to walk anyways. We got that same leverage with Chubb. So let's get him for a fourth, fifth, sixth, and that's cool. But if you had to pick one, if Howie said, man, LB, I can only get you one, you wanna upgrade that running back position or that pass rush position? Who are you taking?
I'm going after Chubb. I'm going after Chubb, man. I would take Chubb because, the defense is savage, man. The turnover differential, man, is at an all-time high. I don't think our turnover differential ever been this high. Only thing we really missing is just some more pressure on the quarterback from this being a stout defense from top to bottom. I'm going after Chubb, man, because Miles Sanders ain't no bum. You know what I mean? Miles Sanders is actually quietly having a decent year. What are you up to 4 touchdowns this already? You know what I mean? Miles Sanders is performing. Miles Sanders is bouncing back beautifully the way we needed him to be. So I'm not mad at Miles Sanders, man. Miles Sanders has had a couple bell cow games. The Dallas Cowboys game definitely was a bell cow game for Miles Sanders, if you ask me. What did he have? 18 carries for only like 79 something yards, like way under his average, like 3.9 yards per carry. But it was grind. He had to grind it out. That was a good front. And he proved to still move the chains in, critical situations. He had over 25 carries. What game was that? I think it was Arizona, was it?
When he had his career high.
Yeah, I think he cooked Arizona, 25 carries, I think a touchdown or two. So, you know what I mean? I'm liking what I'm seeing out of Miles Sanders. So if it had to come down to one, give me Chubb, and then we're going to rock with Miles Sanders for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I co-sign that as well for the simple fact that, yes, that Kareem Hunt, Miles Sanders backfield will be pretty darn spectacular. But again, I feel like if you look at, what we need to improve on a little bit is probably the pass rush. The pressures have been there. And,
right.
For as much as we talk about we need sacks. Yes, we do. However, pressures are almost as good as sacks for the simple fact that we have what? Do we have 12? We have 14 turnovers total. We're plus 12 because we gave the ball away twice. But we have, I believe, 9 interceptions, I want to say, right?
Yeah, I think we do have 9 interceptions. We could count them real fast. CJ got 3, Slay got 3, Bradbury got 2.
Maddox got 1.
Maddox got 1. Yeah, so we're up to 9.
9 interceptions.
And I'm curious to see how many of those came off of pressures. I know that's where you was going with that.
Yeah, that's where I'm going. So again, the sack gets home. Cool, it's a sack. That's a loss of 5. That doesn't necessarily mean that the team's going to punt, though. They can end up picking up them 15 yards needed and blah, blah, blah. So sometimes the pressure turns into opportunities, and the Eagles made the most. Now, here's the thing. If we have this little amount of sacks and no interceptions, well, guess what? You need to get home because we're not making the most of these pressures, but we have been. So I'm not telling guys to not sack the quarterback. You still go get it. But we've been rewarded because – the back end of the defense is doing their job 100%. And 14 turnovers in the first 6 games is no joke.
And I know for a fact that, a couple of those Cooper Rush interceptions was because he was scared. He was just getting that shit out of his hands. The same thing with Kirk Cousins. He was really scared that night. And it's 2 games I was at. Like these dudes the walls was closing in tight, Mike, and they were just throwing the ball. So yeah, that's what pressure do, man. Pressure bust pipes. So, the sack thing is cool. A lot of teams like to, glorify, when their teams are getting sacks, but we are getting turnovers. So you really can't be mad at the defense in a whole. So I'm cool with it, man. However way it go.
Yeah, but I definitely co-sign. If I had to pick one, it would be Chubb. Shout out to Kenny though with the $5 super chat. What do y'all think about what do you think about Clowney? Would y'all do a 3rd or a 4th for him and Hunt?
Clowney is a 5th or a 6th at this point.
Yeah. He's up. He got to be up there in age. I mean, listen, he's productive. He gets pressures. He never really shows up in the stats on the stat sheet, but there's a reason why every year he's with a new team. Like there's something that's not worth keeping around. So I don't know if I can even go 4th because, so far the last couple of drafts, we've been hitting some of these later round picks. So,
right. He hasn't made the reputation as one of those guys that could be a championship piece. I mean, he's never won a championship, right? You know what I mean? He's not a championship piece. Like Von Miller is a piece you go get when when it's time to go win a championship or something like that. So I'm good on Clowney.
Yeah, I agree 100%. But the Hunt part of it, like we both said, we are pretty we're on the Hunt train in the sense that if
Mm-hmm.
you can get him, but we just prioritize a pass rusher, I believe, for the simple fact that this, the running back room, and we haven't even got to see Trey Sermon. Not saying he's going to be something crazy, but we haven't even had to dip into that bag, which we did see him come out and make some tough runs in the middle, outside, all that stuff. So I think the running back room is pretty secure. And people are going to have you thinking that Jalen Hurts somehow really dropped out of the top 10 passers and Miles Sanders dropped out of the top 10 rushers. We were on a bye week, bro. I've been seeing the tweets and I'm like, why are and some Eagle fans I've been seeing underneath it like don't even worry about it. We are on a bye. By the time the end of the season comes and it all evens out, we'll be there. Like they're showing Kyler Murray with more yards than him. No buys yet. Like,
You know
okay,
what I
he has
mean?
no buy. He
It's
beat him by like 80 yards.
it's it's Twitter is laughable. Twitter is one of the funniest places, and so you can't even take anything seriously on sports. You can't even take a serious sports conversation serious on Twitter. You know what I mean? I'm almost like a completely different person on Twitter. You want to know why? Because I lose brain cells talking to half of them idiots anyway. So it is what it is, man. You know what I mean? Jalen Hurts, statistically is having a phenomenal year. The Philadelphia Eagles are 6-0, and we are thinking about how we can get this number one seed. You know what I mean? Listen, there's still a lot of football left. We got to continue to win games. That's the motto I'm on. If we already beat you, save it for David. You know what I mean? We're on to the next game. Save it for David. We're on to the next game.
I agree 100%. Twain, Eagles 215 with the $2 super chat. F them pick we in win now mode at 6-0.
He's
He
trying to
said
say he don't care about them
he
picks.
don't
Get
care
some
about them picks.
players.
I mean, look. I hear you. And like I said, Brian Burns is young, and he's no slouch. But again, like, can you think? Like, listen. This is not the conversation right now. I agree with Twain in the sense that Sunday comes, I don't care about April in 2023. I really don't. But if it comes to that point, and this team is literally, we went on a nice run. I don't know where the story ends, blah 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 blah. But you turn that fourth pick in the 12th overall pick, you still get your guy at 12, plus you got multiple picks later in the draft, and now 2 first-round picks for 20. Like, yo, these gonna be we gonna be doing our thing. And it was all because he got the Saints when some people, I think the Saints thought they were gonna be better than what they are. And
Yeah.
so they're
And
falling flat on their face.
one thing that we're forgetting, man, Jalen Hurts got to get paid this summer. You know what I mean? He's another one, man, that got to get paid pretty soon. You know what I mean? I know we don't want to talk about money right now. Some people still think it's too soon to talk about money for Jalen Hurts, but I mean, it's no guarantee. And I said this last year. Everybody was telling me every quarterback under the sun was better than Jalen Hurts. Justin Fields, Zach Wilson. I'm like, man, you can't give up on this kid right now. That was my whole mindset because he already went through that year of taking his lumps and he made it to the playoffs. And he's a hard worker. If this kid comes out here and continues to develop, it's a blessing in disguise for the organization. Jalen Hurts is the reason why we're talking about having an expendable second round pick. If he was trash, we'd be talking about what quarterback we would have to get. You know what I mean? He got to get taken care of too. A lot of people got to get paid. This will be not done. Maybe it's too early for this, but we got to start talking about, soon, I guess when the season comes to an end, what's priority, who should we be keeping around? Because I look at Bradbury, I look at Gardner Johnson, I look at Kaiser White. It's nobody that we signed to a one-year deal so far that I'm thinking that we shouldn't re-sign. The only person that I can think of is Pascal. He might be a little expendable, maybe because we deep at wide receiver, but everybody else who was a key acquisition looks like they've earned their keep and deserves money and deserves to stay longer. So this is tricky, man. So I don't know, man. We might have to keep them picks. You're right. We might need to have as many people on rookie deals as possible.
Exactly. And when I every single video I did talking about these trade rumors, right?
Mhm.
I think I just had like memorized because I put that spiel in every single video because I do not want to forget about the Bradburys, the Garner Johnsons, the TJ Edwards, the Kaiser Whites, and Marcus Epps didn't just get here, but he's due a contract next year, and he's only
Right.
making like 500K. He's not going to be on a roster playing high quality safety for you at less than $1 million. He's not going to do that. Jalen Hurts ain't going to lead you to 6-0 for $1.1 million. So all that has to be in order as well. But here's my thing. I think Howie Roseman's not pulling the trigger today on something if he don't already got a plan. And right now I'm in Howie we trust mode for sure, for sure.
You
So with
gotta
that
be.
being said, I think look, I'm not talking about we should talk about paying Jalen Hurts today. I'm not saying we shouldn't. I'm not saying either or. But I think that Howie and them already had a conversation behind closed doors to be feeling like if they would go get a Chubb, a Hunt, a Brian Burns, or anything on them lines, they have had to had their ducks in order with who they want. They're not blind. They see Epps and all these guys playing. They know what they have as much as we do, if not more. So who knows if Jalen, a guy who bets on himself, who's only gotten better throughout his career since a youngster, doesn't say like I'm okay to play on, like I think there's something there. Now, will it be to the fans liking, to Jalen liking, to whatever? I don't know, but I don't think you start to do all this without having semi plans in. So it's weird and as crazy it sounds with all the guys on 1 year deals and Jalen Hurts and this, then, and the third. You don't even think about McCaffrey if you don't got your ducks in order. So right now, I'm falling onto the Howie we trust.
Yeah, yeah, and we're projected to have around 40 million in cap space and multiple first round picks. We're in a good spot and we 6-0. So I think Howie is going to always find a way to make the money work for him. You know what I mean? Like when Carson Wentz was signed, I don't even think the contract took effect that year.
No,
I think it took effect the next season. He was still playing on a rookie deal for one more year until the money kicked in. That gave Howie Roseman time to get other things and ducks in a row. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised if Jalen Hurts is signed this summer, but it just don't take effect until the rookie contract is up. That's how he's in his third. This is his third season, right?
Well, yeah, this is his third season.
This is his third, and he has one more season after this on that same rookie deal.
Correct.
You know what I mean? I don't see the money taking effect until the fifth year. So, you know what I mean? He might get some of his bonus now, but, Howie Roseman is really, really smart. The way he kicks contracts down the can, the way he restructures a lot of these guys, he gives us a lot of money to play with. So, in a perfect world, this is how I see this happening. I see us making an acquisition for a guy that we can extend. I see us keeping around Garner Johnson and Epps. I'm not too sure about Kaiser White. Maybe they just say we can't keep him around and we try to implement Nakobe Dean next season. You know what I mean? I think that's what they'll end up having to do. I mean, he has a third-round pick. They want to put him out there at some point. But it's a lot of ways that Howie Roseman is going to be able to get this right and have us looking good for the future.
Oh, I agree 100% with you. And you might have to lose one of them guys. But then that's where the draft comes in, and depending on what we can do there. But flipping back to the Steelers a little bit before we get up out of here and whatnot, do you believe that I don't want to say trap game in a sense because you had 2 weeks to like who on this schedule, or do you think is it going to be a game where their record's not good, but they're just going to match up with us pretty tough, or we're going to come out and have one of the games where we just look different because it's bound to happen. Undefeated is great right now, and we talked about this a couple times, or last time we were together with 500 on a different show. It's all low, dandy, like let's go for it and cool. But do you feel like that's 6-0? Do you think we're gonna come in lackadaisical because of the bye week? Like, not, I don't know. Like, how do you feel? Like,
I don't think so.
Football?
I don't think so. I don't think we're going to come into this game lackadaisical. I see the players are ready. I see a tweet from AJ Brown. He said the real season starts now. You know what I mean? I'm seeing guys. Jalen Hurts has been focused from day one. You know what I mean? I don't see too many of our guys on Twitter. I don't see too many of our guys popping up at parties and stuff like that. I think guys really took this week to get their body right. And right now they're in practice mode. They're in game mode. I did see a couple of the guys pop out at the Sixers games and stuff like that and at the Phillies games, but that's normal. That lets me know that they stayed local. You know what I mean? That's a good thing. They stayed local. They rested. They chilling. So I don't think we come out flat in this one. Now, if you're talking about later on down the schedule, one game that I do kind of worry about that could potentially be our first L, for some reason, I feel like it's going to be Tennessee. I feel like it's going to be Tennessee because,
The chat had a Tennessee in there too.
Oh, they had Tennessee. Yeah, I think it's going to be Tennessee because Henry, man. That's the only reason why. Henry, man.
Well, it would help your fantasy team.
Right. It definitely would help. It definitely would help me if it's Henry. But yeah, man, I think it's Tennessee. But then I kind of don't think it's Tennessee because I feel like that's the game where we're going to force feed AJ and he's going to have 200 yards or something like that. So it's tough to say. It's tough to say.
Yeah, but like you said, right now the recipe to beat the Eagles is, well, don't let them explode in the second and try to continue to run the ball
Right.
and take what you can get. I think as Davis implements a little bit more in there, it will shift to, okay, we can't run as we thought on the Eagles. But that's pretty much. I agree. I mean, I do feel a little weird. Maybe it's just me because like I get excited a little bit for the bye. Like, I get to take a little break on Sunday, watch the games. But then as I'm watching the games, I'm like, it's not the same.
It's not. Those games was trash. Those games was trash last week for some reason. Was it just me? Those games was trash. It was not the same without the best record in football being challenged. You know what I mean? Everybody going to be looking at our game because they want us to take this L. You know what I mean? It definitely wasn't the same, man. I think the Philadelphia Eagles going to take care of the Steelers, though, man. I think we're going to put up a 30 burger on them. You know what I mean? We're going to come out of this bye with some fresh legs. Hopefully we put together 4 quarters of football, but I think we're going to be locked in and ready to go.
That would be the icing on the cake to come back 6-0. People are trying to use the bye week as the Eagles, took their foot off the gas, and we go ahead and have a great first half, and we duplicate it in the second half. It will be lovely if Nick Sirianni spent the bye week realizing the mistakes that not just happened one third quarter, but have happened every single third quarter of the season so far. We're not the same team in that third quarter. We do get some grown-up drives in the fourth, as we talked about earlier in the stream. But if we get that third quarter figured out, I know teams are hoping and praying that we don't, but this was the week. And you heard the coaches talk about that. Right now you can self-scout a little bit more. Like, you always look at yourself in the mirror as a coaching staff and collectively talking about what do we need to get better, but you also got to spend that week on how are we going to attack the opposing team, right? So now you finally got a whole 2 weeks, and really the only focus for the coaching staff should have been their style of play, how the players adapt, what we're doing wrong in the second half, because that is the only thing. You could talk about special teams, but you better not spend your whole 2 weeks on special teams, bro. That just let it rock. That is what you should have been ironing out. And so I would love to get confirmation that it's been ironed out with a nice balance, 20 in the first, 17 to 20 in the second, in the second half. Get me 20 points going into halftime, and then come out and get me about 17 or 20 to close the game, regardless of what the Steelers do. And ain't nobody can tell us nothing.
Yeah, I agree, man. I put the emphasis on that a lot during this week, during this bye. Like the bye is just not for the players. You know what I mean? The coaches need to be doing stuff. Like Howie Roseman was picking up the phone, I'm sure, trying to make something happen. You know what I mean? The coaches were looking at, how they could get better schematically with this football team, man. I mean, we're really good right now, but we still haven't put our best game together. You know what I mean? Hopefully we saving it for the playoffs. I don't know. We still haven't put our best game together, and we 6-0. That should let you know the talent that's on this football team. Let's start putting together complete games now. You know what I mean? We've been winning off pure talent and just being smart with the football. Now it's time to start asserting dominance on some teams. I'm looking for more of a vertical attack in some of these games. Let's start trying to blow these guys up, man, and get rid of some of these guys.
Yeah, I agree. One more question for you before we get up out of here, and it's back to some of the trade deadline stuff. I did it on my video today. So the Philly Voice, an article was written by Jimmy Kempski, a decent Philly writer, and he's never too crazy, too nothing. He said 3 possible trade candidates that are not going to get you out of your seat happy, but low key looking around the NFL, this is what he could see, and it's mainly depth pieces. None of these guys are going to come in and be the starter, right? Mm-hmm. He said 1 for the running back position, David Montgomery, The guy from the Bears, 224 pounds, not going to take Miles Sanders every down snap, but he can be your goal line guy that can, free up Jalen Hurts from running all these goal line touchdowns. You can use him short yardage to close out games. How do you feel about that? He would
I
be
feel
backup
like
to Sanders, of course.
I feel like behind this line, Montgomery could take the starting job.
You love the you, and of course they reference Jordan Howard. He's the younger
right.
Jordan Howard's less mileage.
That's what I'm saying, man. Behind this line, it could be spooky for Miles Sanders if you get the right running back in here. Montgomery not a bum.
Nah, and he's like I said, he's over 224, short, he's stocky little guy or big guy. I ain't mad at it. The other one he said was Texans defensive back Desmond King, and he's pretty much he's pretty much a guy who can return punts. He has 74 career punts. He can play inside and outside, so you can use him really. When Maddox went down, we used Josiah Scott. He's pretty much saying, do you feel better with Josiah Scott or Desmond King? Or when Bradbury went down, we used Zach McPherson, or not Bradbury, Slay. We used Zach McPherson. Do you feel better with Desmond King or Zach McPherson? And then even some safety in his background for Kevon Wallace, that was an option. But before I say that, before you give me that one, I want to give you the next option, he said. He said, Ronnie McLeod, come back. Safety. And only because the Colts bench Matt Ryan. Early when the season started, the Colts started their young safety Nick Cross, and in 3 weeks, Nick Cross was playing kind of shaky. Then Ronnie McLeod got the go ahead to start. So they didn't start Ronnie McLeod to start the season. Then he comes in, but now they bench Matt Ryan. When you put Sam Ellinger in, you're pretty much saying I got to see what these young guys do. Right now, McLeod only cost $1 million. The only reason I'm talking McLeod is because we saw when CJ Gardner, and you brought this up last stream, when Gardner Johnson went down and got spooky. Now, is Ronnie McLeod a savior? No, but is he better than Kevon Wallace? You damn Skippy.
Ronnie McLeod is just, at this point, man, I don't think he has no knees left at all. You know what I mean?
I ain't mad.
He's playing on pure heart now. I would revisit Jaquiski Tart. I don't think he's on the roster right now, right?
Same with Anthony Harris. Like, why did we dismiss? Look again. Right. Why did we dismiss them, knowing that Kevon Wallace is the guy? Like,
because I think we tried this. I think we signed Anthony Harris to the practice squad at one point. That's like low key disrespectful to him. I feel like so they're just like, man, we're just gonna let you go. He's still a free agent, Anthony Harris.
I know he went to Denver's practice squad, but I think he felt the same thing. Like, stop playing with me. I'm not gonna be on no practice squad. But Jaquiski Tart out there too. Like I said, look, at the end of the day, Harris got better at the end of the season, but he ain't flash really in preseason. Tart didn't flash, but Kevon Wallace, he comes in and it's really scary. And as much as we did believe in him, I'm really starting not to. So if you can get some type of safety depth in there, because not just CJ. If Epps goes out, they're going to put Kevon Wallace and he's next up on the depth chart.
That's what I'm saying. How did we get in this position? Like, where's Reed Blankenship at? Like, let's see what he got at some point.
Yeah, I agree. At least we know he can lay a hit.
Right. You know what I mean? I definitely would rather have Roddy McLeod out there than Kevon Wallace. Though.
Now, like I said, when I read that article, I'm not advocating for that. You know what I mean? I'm I don't want to get the Eagles make a trade. I'm all excited. It's like Ronnie McLeod coming back for a little bit. I'm like, nah, chill. But all them pieces were, him thinking about the depth of this team for the long haul. It was a good article, you know what I mean? But nothing crazy. We know the big names: Chubb, Burns, even your guy Robert Quinn, and then of course Kareem Hunt. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. We got a couple more days until the trade deadline. What, about 2 weeks or something like that?
November's the first week. After the Steelers, before the Texans, or something like that. So
okay, so it's like in the middle of that Thursday game.
Yeah, I believe so, right around there. Don't quote me, but it's coming up. It's coming up. That's why Dallas made a move for a D tackle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, who was he? Who cares? You know what I mean? Man, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I ain't gonna even say it. You know how I feel about them dudes over there, man.
I know. That's why I had to throw that out. They made a move, right? I mean, it's equivalent to the Roddy McLeod move we're talking about.
And then, you know what I mean? But listen, a move is a move, man. I think they got a D tackle over there. They worried about being able to stop the run. I guess Justin Fields scared the life out of them yesterday. So
Yes,
they trying to do
he's
something.
such a great athlete. He's gonna run the
Right, right.
army.
He's such a great athlete. You know what I mean? Oh, we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. And chat, this is just and some of you guys know it's just a carryover of just the Twitter sphere. So don't pay any
Right.
attention at the end of this stream. But shout out to Slip and Z with the $5 super chat. What do y'all think about picking up DeAnthony Thomas for the return game? Seems like he wants to come to Philly. Is he on the roster right now?
That's a good question.
Wasn't it, that's the guy who played for the Saints, right? Dude's he's quick.
Yeah, I think that is the guy that play. Yeah, that's the guy that played for the Saints. Listen, anybody in return game. I don't care if you're a speedy cornerback, a speedy safety. If you could catch the ball and run, we desperately need help, man. I would definitely get him, man. We desperately need help, man. You know, you can't win a Super Bowl without adequate, you know what I mean, special teams play, man. You need that. When the last time we had like a great special teams return?
And
Darren Sproles. I think it was Darren Sproles when he ran one back.
I mean, Jalen Reagor did run one back. It looked like it took forever though. It was slow.
I forgot
I'm
all
gonna say
about
he
that.
did. All right, real quick though, before we you're right though, in the sense of you get that you just got a 3 and out, right? Or you just stopped them on a 3rd and 7. You get a big sack. You force them to come out and punt the ball. Then you get the rock and you return it back to where you almost got it, or a touchdown. You know what that does to the whole team, the stadium,
To the whole
all that?
stadium, the building. You know what I mean? We get 3 and outs, and we starting at the 20 every time after a good defensive play.
Yeah, that's crazy. One more super chat from Knight Rider. Shout out to you. He said, "What about Jabril Peppers?
Does he play return? I mean, that's what we need. Is he a good return man?
Jabril Peppers is what?
He is safety, right? I think he's safety. Yeah. Listen, I'm not mad at Jabril Peppers. I think you need more safety depth more than you need edge rushers for real.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, if one of our edge rushers go out for a game, well, then we're just gonna have to say Hassan, get more to the. We're gonna stop dropping Hassan back. You know what I mean? BG's gonna increase his snaps. Milton Williams, but if you lose your safety, it's Kevon Wallace time. Like no ifs, and or buts. I mean, we got Reed Blankenship there, but let's not make stuff up. They haven't shown that he's over Kevon Wallace. So if BG goes down, you still got Reddick and Sweat. If Sweat goes down, BG can step up a little bit. Milton Williams, you got some movement there.
Oh, they saying Jabril Peppers plays safety and return.
He has returned before. He definitely has. So the best of both worlds. Let's get him. Bring him in. And like I said, we're not bringing him in to say, oh, CJ Garner-Johnson, Marcus Epps, watch out. It's like, nah, just y'all do you and stay healthy. We don't see him. Only on special teams.
Right.
Last but not least, Slip said I was in the comments. He wants to come to Philly. Okay, so listen, if DeAnthony Thomas is on a poop Saints team, you know Howie Roseman, as soon as he called the Saints, they just start giving us stuff. So at this point, just call the Saints and just mention what's his name? DeAnthony Thomas. That guy at one time, you know, I saw teams they rather kick that ball out of bounds and get ugly field position rather than let him return it.
My guy Silverback, man, thank you for the super chat. He said, just showing support. I still can't show LB no love, no love LBs. I'm getting that fixed. I figured out what the issue was. I'm gonna get that fixed. Why certain people can't leave super chats. I don't think I blocked you. I don't know what that's about, but I'm getting it fixed though.
Shout out to that. And the last one, Matt G said, would you take D-Jack back just to return?
He went to Baltimore a couple weeks ago. D-Jack played for the Ravens now.
I saw he went there. They signed him?
Yeah, they signed him. They signed him to the Ravens. I think this was like a week ago now.
I didn't pay attention. I just saw, okay, he's going there, and I didn't realize he got picked up. That's what's up, though.
Definitely.
With that being said, shout out to y'all. 48 minutes in.
Yes, sir.
Goat Talk is going to be once a week the rest of the season. We're 6-0. We got a lot to talk about, and we got one of the wildest GMs in the league. Something will come up. But ALB, let them know what you got for the rest of this week.
Listen, man, we definitely going to be doing the keys to victory tomorrow for the Steelers matchup we got coming up on Sunday, and just anything Philadelphia Eagles. Y'all know the vibes, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Until next time, y'all know what time it is. Hit the like button. It's free. It's easy, and it just means you're not a Cowboy fan. That means you're about something in life.
Facts.
Peace.